Hello, this is Winston Smith. This is with Hello, this is Winston Smith. This channel deals with hip hop, urban community, and any news happening with hip hop, urban, or just plain the hood. Anything that affects people that look like myself. Um, News I want to cover is Alexandria Ocasio Cortes's proposal to tax the wealthy people at 70%. This is anybody making $10 million per year. So this is a new well, not a new, but this is a certain proposal that she's had that's been gaining some steam, and basically she wants, because basically what happened is a tax cut. I don't know if you noticed it or not. This is February 12th. If you did early filing, you really get back a lot. So you probably didn't, because if you're watching this, you're probably not rich. If you're watching this, you're probably not wealthy. All right, so the majority of the people that are wealthy is a very small percentage of the population. The Trump tax cut basically gave the richest of the richest people a tax break. And the rich people, instead of spending money on more jobs, they just put the money back in their pocket or put it in their particular stock portfolio. They didn't reinvest it back into hiring anybody. Because common sense, if you basically have 5,000 workers and you got yourself a tax break from the government, you put it back into your bank account. The only way you increase the amount of workers is if you increase the demand increases. So the demand doesn't increase, then you don't need to sell more product. So if you don't need to sell more product, then you don't need to hire more workers. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it makes sense. I mean, so basically, we're basically paying more in taxes because they're going to want to try and take out benefits from our particular Medicare when we retire. They're going to try and cut Medicare, cut Medicaid. They're already cutting public housing, right? We see all these public housing in New York City, how they're deteriorating. And again, they have a heart surgeon running New York City public housing. I don't know what he's supposed to do, but fine. So Alexandria Ocasio Cortez recommended this 70% tax. Now that at first that sounds very steep for people making $10 million or more, but some people are arguing that it's a punishment on the rich. So it's basically punishing people for being rich. So they say that if you have such a steep tax on the rich, then why would people want to go out there and be a billionaire if you're going to take 70% of it? They will say that it will discourage people growth in the economy because why am I going to try any harder if you're going to take 70% of all my gains? Well, I dispute that because at the end of the day, these people are so filthy rich, they can hire PhDs, master's degrees, groups, a room full of people, think tanks, on how to basically usurp the tax law. So any tax law they come up with, if it's even 70%, the richest of the richest people will hire a group of people that are PhDs, all different types of majors, to make certain that they pay as less tax as possible. So if there's no loopholes that are visibly there to the naked eye, they will find loopholes in any tax code to make certain they pay less. So before the tax code, I think it was like 35%, and they decreased it to 21%. What really happened was the tax code before Trump did his nonsense, I think it was 35%. The people that were really rich hired lawyers and all these different accountants to make certain they paid as less as possible. So it was 35%, but they were actually paying 24%, 25%. You lower it to 21%, you know what's going to happen? They're still going to hire those. They're not going to fire those particular lawyers and all those accountants. They're going to hire. They're still going to be on the payroll to make certain that they can pay even lesser tax, right? So they're going to end up going from 21% to maybe 16%, 13% even. So that's why the government has a $1.5 trillion deficit right now because of this tax cut. So they're cutting taxes on the rich, trillion and a half dollar deficit, and you're the regular person. You're really not seeing any increase in your taxes. Everything you're seeing is a decrease. You're getting back less money. So basically, she's saying that a 70% tax on people making $10 million or more. If there's 70%, they're gonna have people that's gonna make it cut it towards 50%, 40 something, 45%. So they still have their leeway, right? So I really don't feel sorry for the filthy rich people that are out there. At the end of the day, if you're a billionaire, you got to be a billionaire by having a monopoly. Bill Gates, billionaire. What? He had a monopoly on operating systems for decades before they finally broke up the monopoly. And at GM, they had a monopoly for decades back in the early 50s, and see they was like the main car producer, right? So there's a lot of these companies that are the people that are billionaires because they have the monopoly, right? So you can't basically go and make everything antitrust. What you could basically say is that if you're filthy rich, if you're making over a certain amount of money, you should pay your fair share. Your child's going to uh, a high school or college that's very high end, so nobody uses thousands of dollars per month, right? When you die, you're going to leave your child all your wealth in an estate tax, right? And it's going to be taxed, okay, a certain percentage, but then your child inherits all that wealth, free, tax free. They don't have to work for it. Well, not tax free, but they inherit all that money that they didn't have to work for. So they get a head start of hundreds of millions, billions of dollars, right? So when you have money, then money makes money just off of interest. Money makes money. You put that in an index fund, it just keeps on making money for the rest of your life. So you really don't have to work for it past a certain amount of money. So what they're basically saying is that since you're well off, and sometimes see how these billionaires live, they get what? Trump had a golden toilet bowl. This is what you're gonna do with your money? I mean, how many plumbers are gonna put in a golden toilet bowl in someone's house? Very few. How many people are gonna repair a Porsche? Okay, repair a Porsche 911. Or how many people are gonna repair a Bugatti? Your mechanic, but majority of all mechanics on the face of this planet is never gonna really see a Bugatti. They have their own particular mechanics that touch that car. Yes, a Porsche or Ferrari with suicide doors. Majority of all mechanics are never going to touch that car. They have their own particular mechanics to do that. So where is this business going to trickle down to the regular person that's going to work? I mean, you're someone that basically a contractor. All right, how many multi-million dollar or some of these homes are $80 million. So how many $80 million homes has the average contractor worked on? None. Not one sheet of dry rock was basically put up by a regular contractor for $80 million house. So all these are very particular expenditures done by very particular people. So the regular person that's basically a waitress that's getting $1,000 tip. Okay, that's a one-time thing. Okay, the when they basically go out there and splurge on a vacation again, they go to private islands. The super rich, super wealthy. Where are you gonna? Whoever seen Beyonce and Jay-Z at their restaurant, at their hotel, at their school? Blue Ivy's not going to your school. I know this already because the Blue Ivy and all the rest of those kids, they're getting into very exclusive schools, right? That you don't even know the address to, you don't even know the name to, right? So remember, Blue Ivy when she was born had a golden crib. Who made that crib for Blue Ivy? I mean, the person that constructed the golden crib. Do you know the name of the company? No, these are all exclusive items that they splurge on. Oprah Winfrey has Oprah Winfrey has silk walls in her bathroom. This is a bathroom. You know what happens in the bathroom? People urinate and defecate. Why do you need to have silk wallpaper? She has silk wallpaper. Who is the person that went and installed the silk wallpaper into her bathroom? This is a very specialized case where someone actually got work from dealing with a billionaire. Their money is basically to themselves. So what Alexandria Ocasio Cortes says is saying, like, okay, since you have the money there, and you spend the money on silk wallpaper, on golden cribs for babies, on $20,000 a month child support. Why don't they take that money and give it to people that need it? America's education is basically middle of the pack. America doesn't have any magnetic rail. They have like one strip that's on the East Coast that Obama put in. But if you look at America's magnetic rail, if you pull up a map of it, there isn't any. Pull up a map of China. Their magnetic rail is so finished. They've moved on to installing magnetic rail in African countries, in Southeast Asian countries, so they can transport their goods from China to the rest of the world, through Southeast Asia to Europe. They're building the new modern Silk Road. Instead of having a road right now that transports silk, they're having a network of roads and magnetic rail that transport goods from China to Europe. America is far behind. They have the 1980s Reaganism decade of decay. That's basically worldwide known as America's decade of decay. Crack era. 90s, okay. Bill Clinton came in, had a federal surplus. 2000s, the crooked rigged election in 2000. Broken chads. What happened after that? 8 years of war in Afghanistan and in Iran. Huge debt. And then after that, 2008, the financial crisis of 2008. Then Obama comes in, okay, now starts repairing the economy. Now another rigged, crooked election now with this clown in office, giving the money to the richest of the richest people, so they can stockpile it in their bank accounts, so they could dive into it like Scrooge McDuck. When they feel necessary, they can just go open up a room and just dive into their money. I mean, what's the entire point? But I agree with Alexandria Ocasio Cortes. They're not using it for any good to society. Using it to personally enrich themselves, and when they die, just pass off to their kids. So there's a lot of things that need to be done, and America's behind in a lot of things when it comes to transportation. And again, they have these self-driving cars now, or they want to have self-driving trucks. That's only to compensate for the fact that America doesn't have a system of magnetic rail. That's why you need to have trucks that can drive 24 hours a day by electronic computer. So humans need to sleep, computer doesn't need to sleep. Okay, but if you have magnetic rail, then you can transport the same freight double or triple times faster. Because again, on a rail system, you don't have traffic jams. You just go straight. But when you have a self-driving truck, then you have to slow down for traffic. Then you have to do all these twists and turns. Rail just goes straight and it offloads to the ship, and you can ship it directly to international waters. Right? I think I'll try and include a picture of China's magnetic rail, and it puts ours to shame. China's on par with Europe when it comes to magnetic rail. We're completely behind in this. So basically, picture America having a magnetic rail network completely connected inside this country, and then being able to transport stuff from the United States of America through Canada to Russia. That would be pretty big, wouldn't it? China has it to where they can transport, or they're building it to where they can transport stuff from inside their country, which they could transport fast already because they have nationwide magnetic rail, through to Southeast Asia. This is what they're building now when it comes to building ports, roads, airports, shipping lanes, and then they're going to be expanding all the way over to Europe. When John McCain died, if you want to see the road, I'm going to try and include a picture of that. If you want to see when they had the caravan, or I should say, they was basically leading him the body through Arizona. If you want to take a shot at the roads that they were going through, these are old, cracked up. This was American dying or dead infrastructure that they were showing on national TV. In case you want to remember it, I don't know if you can remember. I'll try and include a picture. None of that in China. These are all the roads are already been built from the 1990s. Every decade is something. In the 1980s, education. 90s, roads. 2000s, magnetic rail. Now, in the 2010s, 2020s, now they want to push out to Europe. Now, this is going to be the new Silk Road. So, in order to catch up, you can't budget deficit spending in order to catch up to that. You're decades behind. You're already behind in education, middle of the pack. You don't have road infrastructure. Uh, Barely have rail infrastructure when it comes to Amtrak. You don't have magnetic rail infrastructure. You have next to nothing. So you need to catch up. You need to catch up fast. This is the United States of America. Why does it have to where every single kid in high school learns how to code? Why you don't have every single kid in junior high up with a tablet? Standard, mandatory. Why is that? Because you can't afford it? You can afford it, but you just don't want to do it because it's too expensive. Mind you, this country spends $1 trillion or more on military equipment per year, but they can't find money for roads, can't find money for magnetic rail, can't find money for education, can't find money for healthcare. Something's got to give. So I think that her proposal to tax people making more than $10 million a year at 70%, because at the end of the day, even if they tax them at 70%, they're going to hire a PhD economist, they're going to hire a PhD accountant to make certain they don't pay 70%. What is your take on this? Should we tax the richest of the richest people at such a high percentage? Share this video and leave a like on down in the description box.